It's a foggy morning in October and I'm off on another junk hunt, but today I'm going to do it in a town that I'm not too familiar with, a place called King's Lynn. And as usual in these videos, I'll see what junk I can find and then make something out of it. First though, breakfast. Excuse me mate, have you got a menu?
Yeah, sure.
Badger.
Keith.
What are you doing here?
I'm trying to have a peaceful breakfast.
Well, I'm going to be going on a junk hunt. Do you fancy joining me?
I like junk.
So I think this area over here is all residential and there are some alleyways. So shall we start here?
You're the expert, I'm following you. Right, let's see if we can find some junk. I'm going to go that way.
I'll go that way. Wow, I've already found a table. A mid-century drop leaf table with a veneered top, which was in pretty bad shape. I decided to leave this just in case Matt found it, as I was interested to see what he might do with it. But I might come back for this later. Here I found what appears to be a dismantled shed, but I wasn't clear whether this was still in use or not, so I left it alone. I went to an industrial estate, but there was nothing to find but pallets. I've got to say, I'm starting to get a bit worried. I've been out for probably almost 2 hours now and I've picked up nothing. I think I underestimated how difficult this would be in a place that I'm not familiar with. It's a lot easier when you kind of know the local area. Eventually, I found some offcuts of artificial grass. I took one piece, mainly just out of desperation really. And soon after, I came across this kitchen cabinet door, which appears to be solid oak, so I'll definitely take that. Generally though, the junk was really hard to come by. There were lots of no fly tipping signs up, so it seems that the local council in King's Lynn take this stuff pretty seriously. And whenever I did come across some junk, it really wasn't anything that I would want to work with. And so I decided to head back to where I started, to see if that dining table was still around. And it was, so I took it. So how did we do? An oak kitchen cabinet door, a piece of artificial grass picked up purely out of desperation, and a drop leaf dining table which is going to need some serious work. By far the least successful junk hunt so far, but limitations often inspire creativity, so let's see what we can do. I was pleased to see that this door is indeed solid oak, the panel as well as the frame, which is a relief. And I cut away any bits that I didn't want, and then I could see what I had left to work with. I want to get rid of these decorative grooves too, so I'll run them through the thicknesser. I thought it'd be interesting to see if I could try and make not one, but 2 small boxes out of this oak that I have to work with. I swapped out my blade for a flat-toothed 6mm grooving blade so that I could cut some finger joints using a jig that I made a while back. I have a video all about this and I'll leave a link to it in the description box. I used a scrap behind the workpiece just to minimise tear out of the grain. To get everything flat and flush, I just did a pass over the planer. And then I could get the tops and bottoms glued on, and I wiped away as much of the excess as possible as I don't want it to squeeze out inside the box. After a good sanding, the joints are looking really nice. I'll add a round over to the top and bottom. And then I can cut the lid using the bandsaw. I made a simple sanding board to get rid of any marks left by the bandsaw blade. This will help keep the surfaces where the lid meets the box nice and flat. Usually I like to only use the materials that I found on the junk hunt, but on this one I am going to have to cheat a bit because I want some more material so that I can line the inside of the boxes, and this sapele looks ideal. I'll resaw this into 4mm pieces. Once the glue was dry, on the first box the lid slotted on perfectly. The second one, however, needed some refinement. To finish these, I'm using some of Leo at Hand Eye Crafts wax. These boxes are now available for sale. There'll be a link with the details in the description box below. This table has some serious problems. This top is in terrible condition. It's covered in something sticky. I don't even want to know what that is. These dark areas here and over here are probably going to be impossible to get rid of, but I will try. And there's basically no finish left on this center section here. The frame has its problems too. Over here we have a tenon which has completely come away from the mortise. The top is also very loose. First, all I'm going to do is put some white spirit on and rub it in with some of this 4/0 steel wool in an attempt to clean off whatever the sticky substance is. I've got some wood stripper here and I'm going to use this to remove the finish, or whatever's left of it anyway. I'm just going to apply it nice and thick and then I'll leave it alone for a few hours. This did a pretty good job at removing the finish. I decided to try and avoid sanding as the veneer on this top is very thin. In fact, there were a few areas that were already damaged. I cleaned again with white spirit and wire wool to get any bits that I'd missed with the scraper. This centre section proved to be quite problematic. It was really porous compared to the other two tops. I ended up using a card scraper just to remove whatever weird substances were on it and try and get it nice and smooth. I have some oxalic acid which I'm hoping will help to remove any stains from the top. I just mix some of this up with some warm water and apply it to the whole top. I reapplied the solution once again after about an hour and then thoroughly rinsed away all the acid water. I was pretty surprised at how effective this was. It looked like it had done a great job, but I won't know for sure until I get some wood finish on it. Before I do that though, I'm going to remove the top entirely and work on re-gluing the frame. It's important to scrape off all the old glue so that the new glue can adhere properly. Luckily, these mortise and tenons were a really nice fit. I had a bit of trouble clamping this with F-clamps, so it was parallel clamps to the rescue. A quick check for square and it looked perfect. Remember the loose tops I showed earlier? Well, it turns out the screws were just loose. They all pulled in tight in the end, so no need for any repairs to the holes or anything. With the top now refitted, I got a coat of hard wax oil applied and I'm pleased to see that the stains have almost completely disappeared. However, unfortunately, whatever contaminants were left on this tabletop continued to create problems, so this process was a lot more difficult than it should have been. After a couple of days, unfortunately the first coat of finish dried really patchy, particularly on that problematic centre section. I denibbed with some 400 grit and applied a second coat. The second coat dried better, but there were still lots of problem areas. At this point I did some touch-ups with a brown Sharpie pen wherever there was some veneer damage. I ended up denibbing again and doing a third coat. And looking back at the before images, I'm really pleased with how this turned out. I have a feeling it's going to be difficult to find a new home for this, seeing as pieces of furniture like this don't tend to be particularly desirable, despite them being really useful, functional and well designed. But at least it gave me something to work on in this video, and I'll take this to a charity shop and hopefully someone will pick it up and give it a new life. Don't forget to check out the Badger Workshop junk hunt video by Matt. There's a link to that in the description box below, and thanks for watching.